So, Hatepu, Namaste, Assalamu Alaikum. This is Kasakma Keparu with another video for you, and I'm standing by this, what is this, a water fountain here, and I'm getting sprayed with water. So I was going to take a walk through the park, so why don't you walk with me? And you can see it's a nice day. If I can get my camera steady. Okay, there we go, here we go. All right, so today I want to talk to you about how to speak to animals. And the reason I want to bring this subject matter up is because I've been watching what's going on with social media, and every now and then they post these videos of these safari hunters, these adventurers. I guess they think they're Indiana Jones or whatever, and they're taking pictures next to these animals, whether it be lions or tigers or whatever, or bears that they have killed, shot, murdered, however you want to use the term. And they think this is okay, they think this is cool, they think they're brave and adventurous. And it seems that people think that Africa is a wild place where they can go safari hunting, killing elephants for their tusks, the ivory and all that. So this is what I want to kind of talk to you about. And this is very important. That in ancient cultures, many ancient cultures on the planet, we saw ourselves as one with nature. And what I mean by nature, that is the Western term for it. Really, the word nature is derived from the word neteru, or neter, meaning God or gods. So when you say nature, you're really saying neter, God, because we saw that everything was one, and that everything was God, and that any infractions upon the individual pieces were an infraction upon the whole. And we saw many animals as very sacred creatures. And in fact, if you look at Native American culture, in terms of, sorry about that, the wind's blowing. If you look at Native American culture, the shaman and shawomen had a very special relationship with the animals and what they're called the animal spirits. And they were codified and used in sacred rituals. And in fact, the attributes that you would take on, and even your name, would be after a certain animal or the animal spirit. And many times in Africa and in Aborigines and Australia and Native American culture, is that when we went to hunt for animals for meat, we used every part of the animal. Nothing was wasted. And also, there was a special relationship where we communicated to the animal spirit and asked them to give their lives so that we may live, that we may continue on and gain substance from their bodies, their meats. And this was in respect, and it was a symbiotic relationship to where we did not see from a left brain perspective, an individual perspective, that these animals were separate and apart from us. We saw them as oneness, unification. Whereas Western man looks at it from, again, the left brain perspective, which sees things in a hierarchical order. Hence, again, I use the example of climbing the corporate ladder, acquiring power. As Gordon Gekko said, greed is good. This is coming out of that very ignorant left brain ideology that something has to be conquered, something has to be feared, something has to be destroyed or subdued. And what we did was we created religions and arts around the aspect of communicating with these animals, living in harmony and one with them, respecting their boundaries, their territories, and they're respecting ours. If you look at the Maasai warriors in Africa, when they hunt lions, they use the so-called most primitive instruments or weapons, and they are not fearful because they've already done the sacred rituals and communicated with the lions and their spirits, and they know the best times to go on the hunt. They know how to hunt, and they know the aspect of balance and not just going out there and eliminating an entire species, okay? And these are some brave men who are doing this. And they don't ride around in vehicles or have shotguns and all of this stuff and then take photographs with a dead corpse. You know what I'm saying? So we have to get back to understanding that you're living in harmony with everything. And these creatures are important to the ecosystem just as much as we are. Because there's a balance, and that balance must be maintained. And eliminating species or wiping them out for just game and putting trophies on your wall is a violation of God, of nature. And animals have a sixth sense. They're very acute to the sublime. And our ancestors learned to tune into that psychic frequency to communicate to them so that you wouldn't have ferocious animals killing people in the tribe, that they could live in harmony and in the same area as the so-called vicious animals, you know? So, but again, Western man out of left brain ideology looks at everything as separate and apart from him. So if he doesn't see himself as one with nature or Netaru, so he looks at things as the weather. I must learn to create this thing called harp instrument so I can control and dominate the weather. Look at the wild. The wild must be controlled and dominated. You know, the jungle, so he goes in there with his Indiana Jones hat and his gun and starts shooting and killing animals, but never learning whole brain thinking, which is to be at one with all things. Go into the right brain, the psychic realm, and learn to communicate with the animals, communicate with the insects, communicate with the plants, because they're living creatures too, and therefore live in harmony with them. And it's so sad to see how we have, as a population on this planet, done so much harm. But I'll tell you what, the more that we continue to destroy and kill, the earth has a spirit, Gaia, and it will, in turn, according to Ma'at, strike back and send Haruka Hudi, which is the enforcer of justice, to put things back into balance. Not to punish, but to put things back into balance. So this is something we have to understand and learn, because if we go in violation of God's law, then we're going to have to submit ourselves for what is to come. So all I'm saying is this, listen, instead of us, and this is where the whole concept too, from the left brain God perspective comes from, because Western man's thinking of God is, you must fear God, God dominates us, God controls us, and we must submit. You know, non-Western cultures always saw God as one with us, never to be feared, and that God was in all things, permeated everything, and that we were one. That's whole brain thinking. That's not about dominating. It is the thinking of cosmologics, a place for everything and everything in its place. You're not dominating, you're not controlling, you're not fearing anything. Why should you fear something that you're one with? What's the reason to do that? There is no reason. Yeah. So anyway, if you like this video, hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel if this is the first time you're watching. And think about nature. Think about animals. Think about the ancient shaman and Shaw women and how they lived in accord with the universe. This is Kasak Ma'at Keparu, Sodom Ma'at, and Amen Ra.